Hello, my name is Cynthia and welcome to my Flosstube channel. Welcome to my channel, Stitching in the Light. I'm so happy to be here with you today to talk about my stitching, things I've finished, things I'm working on, some things I've previously finished, and some plans ahead. I also have toward the middle of the video a giveaway plan to celebrate my 7,000 subscriber milestone. I thank you so much for all of you that are returning, or if you're new, thank you for supporting my channel by watching and subscribing and liking. It has been such a joy to be a part of this community over the last 3 years. I sort of missed my Flosstube anniversary that I had planned because of some life updates that I'll talk about more toward the end of the video. If you've watched my community tab or Instagram, you already know that I've had the loss of both of my in-laws over the last month, and just a lot to deal with in our family with that. So I'll talk more about that later, but thank you for your prayers and encouragement through that hard time as well. I wanted to start with a couple of finishes that I was able to do over the last couple weeks. My stitching's been a little bit erratic, but I've really done quite a bit, so I didn't want to wait too much longer and let it pile up any farther than it already has. And I also wanted to say thank you for 7K subscribers, so I wanted to go ahead and come on today and film. I had a hard time coming to a stopping point to put my projects together for this video because I have a couple that are very close to being finished, and I thought, well, let me just finish those, but it's dragging on farther than I wanted. So some of these I will show you are almost done, and 2 of them are completely done. The first one, I mostly stitched through the month of February and into March. I don't think I had hardly any of it done when I pulled it out for a whip-go call. I have shown you this frame before. It looks a little bit different, and I'll tell you about that. And I've also shown you just this fabric with, I think, the vase and 1 pig. So all of the rest of that was done since we visited. The mama pig and all the flowers and the baby. I thank Marlene Bush from Stitching by the Lake for the idea of how to fit my sampler in this frame. My last Flosstube was called Stitch for the Frame, and I showed you how I had intended to add 1 more flower here on the side. Something just fell. Something that I added here to make actually over here, to make it fit in the width of my frame, but I didn't know what to do about the vertical alignment on this frame. And Miss Marlene suggested in the comments that maybe I should have a wandering pig that would fill in that space. And that was so fun to go ahead and implement. I love the idea of it. I've changed the number of pigs on this piece. I think I explained, but I wasn't sure why, or if I told you why. I have 4 children, and so this pattern, here's the original, is intended to be a pillow, but this is 40 count murky that I'm stitching this on, or I stitched this on, and it still is pretty big to me for a pillow. If I had even cut off the flower the way it was supposed to be and moved this down a little bit, I felt like it was just a little too big for a pillow, and I wanted it to be on my farm wall. Hopefully you'll have seen that footage at the beginning of this video, but here's the way she looks, as I said, and I just kind of spread her out a little bit. She doesn't have quite as few spots. I was kind of over it by that point. I mentioned on my Instagram post where I showed just a peek of this that I think it would have been easier to stitch this on my jeans. And I was only being just a little bit dramatic because this 40 count murky was kind of a nightmare. I probably could have filled in a few more details here. I, like I said, eliminated the pig, but I added butterflies to where there were some gaps. This flower ideally would have been a little bit taller, but there are butterflies charted on this, and I think I just added one extra. There's one at the bottom and two at the top. And then this little pig down at the bottom had some special meaning to me. Many of you know I have 4 children, like I said, and this kind of represents to me that prodigal that's kind of out of the fence. You know, you're always praying that your children do well and that they are healthy and safe. And we're kind of going through some stuff right now with one of mine. So this one reminds me to pray for my little one that's struggling. And I know we all, if you're a parent or grandparent or even an aunt or uncle, we have kids that go through hard times. So this piece to me is kind of a prodigal pig, thanks to Miss Marlene. So I appreciate it even the more. I wanted to talk just a little bit about the frame. Initially, this frame was just a brown black, and I'd gotten a question from S. Vance, I don't know the first name, but asking about the Java stain that I refer to so often in my videos. You can see this background to my bookshelf over here, and even this mirror frame is American General Java stain. It's a gel stain that I use on a lot of my frames. I actually had run out on this one, so I just matched the color pretty close with black and brown. I think of it like 3370, is it 3371 in DMC? It's a black brown. I love the dark dramatic color, but the black is a little bit harsh to me. So when you add just a touch of that brown, like that Java coffee, I think it adds more of a primitive look. What I did with this frame, however, once I had it, it was just a little bit flat. There's all these beautiful carved details. This was a frame from my mom's house that she had passed to me actually before she passed away, because she wasn't going to use it anymore. And I had taken it from the chalk white that she had painted it and put the black brown paint over it, but then felt like it just needed something to show those details. And this was kind of a risky move in some ways. I didn't know how it was going to turn out, but I was really glad I did it. This is a water-based seal and protectant wax by Waverly. I believe I got that, I don't know if you can see it. I got this at Walmart quite a while ago. I think I've seen it there since though. And what I did was just kind of dry brush that on, and I thought, oh, that's going to make it white. But it's a wax, and so it doesn't totally soak in. And I was able to wipe it off, and I kind of hit some of the corners and all the little details on this frame, which also I think complemented these white flowers and some of this white that's in the fabric. So I really like the way it turned out. It's still very dark and dramatic, but it has some highlights, just like you would want with any, you know, good piece of art. You want it to have depth and highlight, and I think this frame turned out great. So don't discount your first attempt at a paint job. You can always come back in with other colors and do layers. And the process I did to frame this, I did do a quick video of. I will try to insert that here in a moment. I'm not sure if it came out or not. I'll show you the crazy kind of tripod situation I had to film that framing tutorial. I used the chandelier and the tripod that I have now, which is really not even a tripod. It's just a hands-free phone mount that I got at a $5 store. But it is hopefully mostly in frame, and I will do my best to kind of give you some snippets of how I framed this piece, how I laced it, and I will insert that here. There's not very many colors in my spotted pig piece, and so I wanted to share those really quickly because I did change, I think just 1 or 2. The carriage black is the color of the pig, and that was called for. Ecru is the color I used for the flowers. I don't think that was called for. I also changed some of the apple cider. I did have some apple cider. I've put it in another piece already and I'll show you later, but mostly I use 3011 for the leaves. I didn't love the kind of dead color of those yellow apple cider leaves. I left some of it on, just like a plant will have some dark green and some dead stuff on it. I thought, well, I'll use that apple cider there, and then I use 3011 on most of the leaves. And oh, the other thing, I also, speaking to the 40 count difficulty, I did not put the bottom flowers on. There are leaves there where there were supposed to be, it looks like, what, 6 more flowers? And I was so over this piece by that point, and I didn't think it really needed the other flowers, so I just left them off. The 40 count was really only possible because I have a really good light. I've shown in a video before from BenQ, and I had it right over my stitching, and I had my readers on, my +3s, and so it was still just a real chore though. So I didn't put those on, but I did change the leaves to 3011, which is an endive or endive, if you want to say it that way, dupe from Gentle Arts. And then 3371, it was 3371, isn't called for, but I'm using all these threads in another piece, so I have it on this ring and I'm going to leave it. Rose Garden is the beautiful color of those flowers, and that's one of the ones I wanted to show you because that's the only time I've stitched with this color before, and I really liked it. And then I borrowed this from my Barbara Anna. Anchor 1007, I don't think is equivalent in DMC. It's a very muted kind of mauve color, and it's not very shiny at all, as you can see, or maybe you can see, but it was a really pretty color for those butterflies. So those are the colors that I used, and one of the flowers is that color. It's a little more pink than I usually prefer, but with the murky and the dark frame, I think it really worked out. It's still kind of feminine, but it's very pretty, and I changed the pins at the top to Mama. I'm sorry, I'm catching all the details of things I changed. Sometimes I forget. And then let me show you the other finish I had, fully finished items. This was something I saw on Pinterest, and it was very primitive. Let me show it to you before I disassemble it. This is a little display with some garden embroidery pin pillows and a little gnome from the Target dollar spot. I think it was $1. Oops, I took the tag off. Yeah, it was $1. And then these are some carrots that I got from my mom's stash of spring decor. And I just wanted to try them because I always like to do some embroidery each season, and I thought that was a fun little project. This says spring garden, and then spring flowers, and spring, I knew I was going to knock it over just a little bit to show you. And then springtime with the spelling like the herb instead of, oops, I've got that upside down, instead of the T-I-M-E. But these were just freehand drawn with my flexion pen that I talk about sometimes. I love the ability to iron this lettering off after you've used it for your embroidery. It's really handy. I did have one other embroidered piece from Chestnut Junction I might get time to do, but I wasn't in any rush. I really was exploring and kind of experimenting with what walnut shells finish like. I know Michelle McGraw always shows beautiful pillow finishes, and I had wanted to try walnut shells for so long, but I couldn't find the lizard litter. I'll try to link below. I ended up getting bird cage filler. It was listed for a bird, definitely, and it was a 7-pound bag for like $10. The lizard little litter, it's hard to say, for whatever reason was going for like $25. And you know, if you've ever tried to buy crushed walnut shells in like a craft venue, you're going to spend like $7 or $8 for a little bag, and I didn't really want to do that. So I got that giant 7 or 8 pound bag of walnut shells, and it does take quite a bit to fill these, and just filled these little pillows. I was, like I said, doing this to experiment with walnut shells, but also to experiment with dye. A lot of you have asked me to share my process for dyeing fabric, and as much as I would like to, I am such a, I don't know the word, kind of slapdash. I just kind of put things together. Like, these are 3 different kind of iterations of a light sagey green that I was trying to dye for a start that I'll show you here in a minute. And this muslin was a great way to experiment with just getting the right color that I wanted for my fabric. It actually ends up being a little bit even grayer than this, but this was my starting point. And I used, I think that 3011 or 3012, one of them is a little bit lighter. Instead of the Pinterest pen I had used as an inspiration was just brown on brown. And I just couldn't do it. I was going to, but then I thought, no, I want it to have just a little bit of color. So it did have these little lazy daisy flowers at the bottom. It didn't have the little lazy daisy stitches on the spring garden lettering, but I added those at the last minute. And then I have some linen here that was something I had over dyed as a fail. You can see I had started, I think it was Susan Rambo on this piece. Pretty sure that's what that is, and decided I just can't see it. When I dyed my 40 count mallow, it has enough cotton in it that it's shrunk to probably like 45, 46, I don't know, but I just realized I was not having fun. And I thought, well, I'll save that linen and use it for backing. And it's very sweet. It looks really, really classy and nice on the back here. And this is some more linen scrap, probably from my needleworker piece. Or no, I'm not sure what piece it's from. I don't think it's Vintage Country Mocha, but it's just a random linen piece. I save every little scrap because you never know when they're going to come in handy. And then I've just got a bulb pin with a mother of pearl button. So thank you for letting me share that little craft with you. It's fun to just sometimes use your scraps and experiment with dye, experiment with a new way of finishing with walnut shells. This was real low risk because, you know, it's just some scraps of fabric, and it was a real joy to do. So if you have any questions about that, let me know. But that was my second fully finished project. And let me show you the ones that are almost done. I almost forgot to pop back on and show my needleworker finish. Needle and Thread is the name of the piece by Brenda Gervais. This was in my last video. It's still a work in progress, to be honest. I was able to get this on a piece of cardboard on the back that is glued on here, but it's not permanently glued. And what I think I might end up doing is taking this out and pulling out some of the batting. It got a little too poofy. I'm not 100% happy with it, but I'm also kind of done with it right now. So as it stands, it stays in the frame. It's not falling out. I'm going to put it in my bedroom so I can enjoy it. I was going to put it upstairs in my craft room, but I haven't been up there very much lately. So I think I actually want to put this by my bed, but it'll match my bedroom really well. And it was filmed, the tutorial of how I did this. It's still a work in progress, as I said, though. So I would put about half as much batting as I ended up doing, and doing some more trips around with thread to pull it tighter. That is the way I would do that part. But as far as the construction of it, it only has about 4 points where it's held in, and I'm not sure it's super well closed in, but for now it's gonna be on my wall, and I'm very happy to have it finished. I do like it. It's just a little bit too poofy. So there's my needle and thread. You can see more details about the colors of thread and things I finished in my video before last, which was my last Flosstube number 51. Thanks for letting me share. And I also finished, but not fully finished, because this is a 12-piece project from Paulette Stewart, and here's all 5 that I've gotten done so far. I've shown this before. These were complementary charts. It's meant to be stitched as a sampler or ornaments. I think it works either way. I'm doing them as ornaments. And so I have tried to do one a month and have not done so well, but I'm hoping to catch back up. This was my February piece, my 5 golden rings. It says 5th day, and you can see those rings there. And the green, this is stitched on a 32 count linen from Hobby Lobby that I dyed. I call it my Aunt Ruth Red. It's probably pretty close to Aztec Red by Weeks, but it's my version. It's maybe a little bit darker, and it does have some pretty modeling, but I just love this fabric. I am using threads that were reminiscent of, I've got a few extra in here that don't belong, but mostly I'm using the Threadworks, that's my favorite, called Stone, is it Stone Path? Yeah, I think that's what it is here. It's a very, very deep red, which surprisingly, it looks really cool on the red. You would think it wouldn't show up, but I actually really like it. And then I'm using Whiskey, which is my favorite golden color from, is it Weeks Dye Works? Yes. In fact, I just bought a new one, and I thought it had been put in here, but it hasn't yet. This gold is so pretty for like a brass or an old gold. And then Chives. Chives is a really pretty green from Classic? No, it's from Gentle Arts. I think I get Gentle Arts more than any other. And so Chives and Stone Path and Whiskey are my favorite colors in there. I've also got just a white and a 3371. So that project, I hope to continue and catch up. I'll need to do the 6th and 7th day before the end of April so that I can be back on track. I guess I can probably finish the 6th day within the next 10 days, knock on wood, and that'll keep me on track for my 1 a month plan. But that is a complimentary chart. I've linked it several times. If you search Plum Street 12-day sampler, it's a complimentary chart and it'll come up on Paulette's blog. So it's a really pretty project. A lot of people have stitched it. It's from 2015, so it's not new by any means. Another really pretty project that I had hoped to show you framed. In fact, I've got the mat board here I wanted to show you. I went to Michael's to have them cut a mat for me so that I could easily lace it myself at home. I have a frame that I found at the Goodwill, and I did show you that in my previous Flosstube. But here is, though he seemeth sleeping, and it is so close to being finished. All I have to do are about 6 letters over here and a couple little pieces in the corner to fill this in. I wanted to have it done so badly, but I thought I can either stitch and not film until maybe next week, or I can just film where I am, kind of find a stopping place and then show you next time. So here is this beautiful sampler. And what I found was, with all of these color changes, especially on the lettering, I needed a dark background for my mat board to help hide my carries, because I didn't carry from letter to letter, but I'm just not a super neat stitcher on the back. So, and this linen is pretty pale, and it's kind of, you know, creamy golden, and it's thin, and so all the carries were showing. But when I put it on this brick mat board, it did a really nice job of just hiding that. So it was surprising to me how deep I needed to go. I had him bring me out one that was kind of a dark tan, and I could still see those red threads. They're not red, they're kind of an orangey red called Campfire, but I could still see them. But when I put that burgundy behind, I think it's gonna work great. So I wanted to have this finished for you, but I will show you next time. And it did fit in the frame perfectly. When I showed you last time, I had added 1 swirl at the top. If you're considering stitching this, I know Miss Marlene had told me she had just purchased it, and a few other people had said they're about to start it. If you add one more swirl at the top, and your lettering will be just a little bit off, that might bug people, some people, but it doesn't bother me. It will fit perfectly in an 11 by 14. So that's a huge savings in framing. My frame was $3. This piece of board cost $2. So for $5, I mean, you just can't beat that. And it is just such a beautiful piece. Here's the, sorry, it all fell when I picked it up. Here's the original by Lucy Beam and Stitches. Is it upside down? I always show things upside down. This is the original sampler, and I am using a lot of her threads, but I'll show you next time a list of the final decisions I made. I added more blue, and I added, I think, 1 more orange than she calls for. I had 2 different oranges, and I'm thinking about adding, I don't know if you can see it there at the bottom, right above this anchor. There's actually a 1/1 year that Becky Nolan did not chart in this. I think it says 1824. Might be 1924, but I'm almost sure it says 1824. And I've thought about putting 2022 there and putting letters on either side. I've already adjusted this to not be an authentic reproduction. I did use her name, Emily M. Bestwick, but I added some extra space to make it fit a frame, and I added different colors than she did. So I'm thinking I'm going to put my name and date at the bottom there. I don't usually do that on my samplers, but I'd like to do that more. So that is a finish that will be soon shown. And let me put this up and show you a couple of spring projects that I've been working on, some that are previous finishes, and then I'll have the giveaway to show you. I'm a little rusty at filming apparently. I forgot to show you one previous finish with my spotted pig. It's called a pinkeep, but I'm calling it a sampler because I put it in the frame. But I have this whole farm wall situation that I hopefully have already shown you. And I wanted to show you these cute little pigs again. I've shown them before. It's been a couple years though. So these little guys I thought looked so cute with my pinkeep or my spotted pig piece because they're black, and this is such a cute little pattern by Prim's by Denise, my favorite Prim artist on Etsy. It's super simple. There's no real piecing together. Like when I've made dolls before, you know, you've had to put on legs and a head and all that. This is just one piece of fabric on muslin. You paint it and sand it and then coffee stain the overdone piece and add a bell. But I thought these were some of the cutest things I've made. I really have enjoyed them. I've given several away, but they are just so fun. So I'll try to find that pattern, or I'll link Denise's website or Etsy store below, because these make such a fun kind of spring and summer farm decoration. And I keep them in this little bunt pan that I got at my favorite flea market store or boutique store called Painted Tree Marketplace, and I keep them up nice and high so Dahlia can't use them as dog toys. But those are my my black pigs that I made a couple years ago. Last year, I think I made, well, yes, it says 2021. Definitely last year, I also sewed this or stitched this freebie from Melissa of Pinker and Pumpkin Quilting. And she has a whole series of these Crocs. I think they have a date like 1892, but I put 2021. And I thought that was just a cute reminder if you're looking for some spring freebies. I've actually, with my no charts, no starts rules I've put on myself this year, I've already started planning next year, and I'm going to do a Melissa Monday. Melissa is the stitcher that shares so many patterns with us on Instagram through her blog, Pinker and Pumpkin. And so let me know if you're interested. I think next year I'm going to do a Melissa Monday and get to some of those cute little farm wife with all the different seasons and work on those each month. So that will be coming up if you want to think about considering that. And then I also have one more. This was a fun piece in punch needle. I have a punch needle project that I want to work on with my friend Leslie's help. I'm still waiting on some supplies from her that I really wanted to show you, but I'm still, like I said, waiting. But this bunny is in the Primitive Stitcher Punch Needle magazine. I took a subscription only for 1 year. I think it was 2019. So it would have been the spring 2019, but Teresa Kogut has released this pattern on her website. It may even be a PDF. It's a super cute stitch. My friend Tina on Love the Stitches had stitched this recently, or punched this recently, and I showed her, oh, I've already done that. I finished it in a Dollar Tree frame. I think it took me 2 years to get this finished. 1 year I punched it, the next year I finished it. That's what it was. It sat for a while, and it has like some wool felt behind it, and those flowers were paper that were really bright. I think this one was bright pink, and this one was like a yellow, and I dipped them in coffee, and so they look a lot more primitive now, kind of stained. But I love the way that turned out. It didn't quite fit in my tray, so I had these pieces on the side, and then I've got my sari silk with some wired burlap so it keeps its shape really nice, and I set that on my mantle. So that is another fun finish from the past. And then I've started one spring piece I wanted to share. Actually, no, I didn't start the Easter Bunny Row or the Cottontails Farm. And I have sort of a loophole that I've used to start this one I'm going to show you, because I've said before, you know, I think of things as a series. It's not just one whip, it's a series. And I cheated just a little bit, but with the time I've been having lately with some of the trials, I gave myself a pass, and there's no cross stitch police. So I already had this pattern. It was actually sent to me by mistake. I ordered Hollyberry Christmas at Hollyberry Farm and got this one in the mail from the seller. And when I called her, I said, "Oh no, you sent me the, you know, the wrong sampler." And she said, "Oh, I'll contact the other lady." And the other lady said, "No, you didn't. You sent me the right one." And it was like, well, obviously I have yours and you have mine, but the seller was really nice and sent me another. She bought another to send me. So I ended up stitching this one, even though it's not one I've seen very often. I think I've only seen it one time on Pinterest. And I had it in my head. I didn't want it to be quite so, I don't want to sound rude, quite so muted, quite so, I think when this photo is taken, it's probably a lot prettier in person, as they all are. You really kind of lose some of the details because of that stain on top. But I did see, is it the Distracted Stitcher? She doesn't have a channel anymore, but my friend Kimberly, I think her name was stitching this, and I thought, oh, I do like that. And so I went ahead and started it, and I'm brightening it up just a little bit with blues that aren't called for. I would have used the called for blue, but I didn't have it. I used Dungarees by Gentle Arts. Here's this blue, so you can see it's a little bit brighter. I thought it was really pretty. This is the green that I was trying to experiment. You can see I changed it just a little bit to make it a little bit more gray, but I wanted a springy kind of green to go with these really pretty colors of the creams and the blues. And I haven't settled on all of my colors yet. I'm still not sure if these are the blues I'm going to stick with, but I started with the Dungarees that I had, and I added one of Frankie's flosses from Wicked Stepmother, and I think it was called Silver something. Gray Ghost. Yeah, Gray Ghost. So it's called Gray Ghost, but it still has quite a bit of blue in it, and I was going to try to use that. Is that what I used? I'm lying. I ended up using Bracken. I may use Gray Ghost again, but I ended up using Bracken, which I used on my needle and thread piece. So that's kind of that other grayish blue and then the brighter blue. And lots of greens. This cat has kind of got me scratching my head because I stitched that over a couple of days' time. I don't know if you can tell how many stitches it is. That's a big cat. But what I didn't realize is I was supposed to have 2 more rungs of my picket fence over here. And as I was looking at it, I was like, why is there so much space behind that cat? And I realized I have put her in the wrong place. And I am not picking her out. She is quite a lot of stitching. I did that while I was at my dad's house. And this is on 36 count Winter Moon Zweigart that I dyed green with some apple green and some gray and a little bit of taupe. It was like I said, just a real experiment. But I am gonna maybe put some kind of a motif over here. I've been looking through my Brenda Keys sampler motif like source book, and I've found kind of a branch that I might put over there. When I put my fence over here, it'll be more apparent that this cat is too far over. But I'm really enjoying this border. As much as Stacy Nash's borders are very labor intensive, this one is a real rhythmic kind of border. It works up pretty well. And I did get the brick color. I was gonna use what I had, like a lot of my Victorian mottos, wagon brown, and there's another one, mountain grasses. I really like that green from Victorian motto. But I wanted a better brick. Mine were too bright, and it's called for Brick Path. And you can see that's a really brownish, like muted brick, but it's gonna make a really pretty, I think that's like a little well house. It's not actually the house, it's just kind of an outbuilding on the farm. And it's quite a bit of stitching, as you can see. But the house I have already done with my Christmas at Hollyberry Farm, and I'm gonna do it again with the stables at Hollyberry Farm. So I'm kind of saving that for the last. The time I started in the bottom left, bottom left like I like to, because I really wanted to do that cat. In the wrong place, but nonetheless it's done. And I like the bricks. And so then I'm gonna do my Hollyberry Farm White House last, and I'm using Frankie's beautiful color called Love Letters. I'm pretty sure. I have a couple of them here and they're a little bit different, but I'm going to kind of just go back and forth because that's a very pretty variegated cream and white. So it's going to look so pretty, I think, on this green fabric. You can tell it's showing up really well. I was having a hard time photographing it because when I photograph it, it just kind of washes out and you can't see any of the green, but I think you can tell here. And it's going to go so nicely in this room. You can see my greens and blues. This is one of my favorite colors. And even though that cat's in the wrong place, I have lots of fabric over here. So if I have to kind of squish some of the motifs in just a little bit on each side, I still think I'll be okay. So if I have to, by the time I get finished, there may be less space here, and it's quite a bit too. It's not just a few stitches, it's quite a bit. There might be less space here, but what I'll probably do is do the brick house and do the white house and then see what's left and just move that flower as needed and maybe eliminate that little sheep or move that sheep somewhere else. I do like that sheep. This one has a lady with a watering can and the bees. It's just really, really sweet. And like I said, I don't think I've seen anyone stitch it other than my friend Kimberly on Flosstube. And I haven't seen it even online. So I'm excited to see how that takes shape. I feel like I got quite a bit done on it, but I did put it down to do a few of my kind of capsule stitching pieces. I didn't work on some of the ones I was supposed to, like my Hawker and Hollow. I still have 8 days or 9 days to finish that block like I hoped, and I have some more work to do on my hands-on design celebrations. That's kind of going into plans, but that's kind of just what I've been working on. This, though, I did pull out when I got back from Tulsa after being there with funeral things, and this is a bag I made out of some scraps from Walmart. It's got little rabbits on it. I don't know if you can see those with little yellow tulips. Just a sweet little bag, and I'm sharing fabric, which I don't often do, but I have one piece on the corner and one piece on the front. And so the one I've been working on the most, though, to be honest, is this Easter Bunny row. I showed this on Instagram yesterday, and it's turned out so cute. I got a little bit farther than my photo on Instagram, but I'm using the colors that Priscilla used initially. That's where I first saw this and thought it was just so cute. The Bent Creek row. It's quite a bit different on the pattern. I don't care for it as well as far as the colors. Obviously the design is fantastic, but the colors, there I go again, upside down. The colors are more of like pastel bunnies, kind of like lavenders and blues and pinks, and they're cute, but I really liked the white and tan and black. I almost think it makes it fit my decor just a little bit better. I'm using some Victorian motto colors. I can show you at the end if you're interested. And some DMC. I even did that trick with the chicks where I blended a kind of maize gold with a yellow gold because I can never find the right yellow. And the bunny, I was able to use a new floss. I'll show you the other ones in my haul section. I just have a tiny bit of haul, but I was given a heads up by Eloise, my friend in California, hi Eloise, about a store in Fort Worth that has Threadworks. I commented that I wish I could see the Threadworks collection in person because I'm always ordering it online. And she did a search and found that they do show it listed in Fort Worth at a needlework store. Oh, the card's over there. It's called the French Knot. I went there over spring break, and they do have a selection. It's not like a full wall or a full selection by any means, but it's a turning rack of about 3 rows of the Threadworks. And I'm always looking for good browns and blacks. I don't know what it is. I always feel like that is called for in the things I stitch, like trees and houses and paths and all of that. I think I'd like to stitch those kind of things. And now I can't find it, but I was able to use a new Threadworks color for that bunny, and I just really thought it turned out perfectly. They do sell it on 123. It's called Camel Hair. And like I said, I was trying to find the number and I can't put my hand on it right now, but I'll list it down below. Here it is. I had to see it from the front. It's 011151 right there. And like I said, it's called Camel Hair. And she didn't have very many of the 20-yard skeins. I think I will go back to 123 stitch now that I know that I really like this color. See that pretty variegation? and get this on a 20-yard skein, because this is a great neutral kind of almost leaning toward taupe, but mostly just neutral brown, and it would be perfect for a lot of things I stitch on samplers. So I'm having a lot of fun with that, definitely muting it down, and I had hoped to finish this one as well. I'm already to this is the R, so I have about, I don't know, what, 6 more letters? I'm bad at math, but pretty close to being done. So that's a fun one. The other one I'm working on is on the front side, and instead of doing it on black, I got just a little bit done on Cotton and Carrots and Cottontails Farm by Hands On Design and Priscilla. I'm doing 4 of these farms on my turquoise shutter in my kitchen, and I just kind of stalled out, and so I wanted to pick that back up. I added a little more to the tree on this piece here, and what else did I do? And I went up just a little bit farther. Didn't get a whole lot done. I filled in that chicken. I started to fill in the rabbit. Is it a rabbit or a chicken? There's an animal on that truck, and I started to fill in that and the blue. I didn't have very much of that blue done, but mostly I just worked on this while I was watching TV, so I didn't get a whole lot done, and I only picked it up for, I think, just one evening. So it's a cute design though, and I do hope to get at least a good portion of it done in March and April, maybe even into May. I had said I was going to do Let It Snow Bungalow a little longer, but I was getting kind of tired of it, and I didn't want to work on snow. I had such a spring fever, so I picked that up. Here is my needleworker enthusiast book of days. I am having a lot of fun keeping track of my finishes and starts and sort of some goals. I'm not able to meet those with my life circumstances, but I'm doing my best, and it is nice to have the finishes highlighted so I know at the end of the year. I just use washi tape and some junk journal stuff that I'm getting from Etsy on downloads. So that's been what I've worked on through the month. I have a giveaway I want to get together here and share with you, and then just a little bit of plans that I want to invite you to join me with, a couple of books and a little bit of testimony. So this video might be a little bit longer. I hope you can bear with me. I haven't filmed in almost a month, maybe longer if you don't count the last one I did for Flosstubers. So hang on just a second, I'll get the giveaway. To celebrate 7,000 subscribers on my channel over the last 3 years, I wanted to give some gifts back to y'all. It's been a while since I did a giveaway. The first 5 items in my giveaway or service, one of them is a service, will be for US only, just because of postage and because I'm going to be doing some finishing work. So I don't feel comfortable doing that internationally just yet. And then the last 2 will be international. So let me start with the US only. I have these written down. I want to keep them in order so I don't get confused. Let me think of a question. If you could answer, what is your favorite thing about spring, or what's your favorite activity to do in spring? It could be something to do with Easter or just with your yard, whatever you like to do most in springtime. And then start with just the number 1, 2, 3 through 7 with what you would like to win, and assuming that you're US for the 1 through 5. So number 1, this is a piece I bought when I very first started stitching, and then I changed my mind. I decided I was going to do a different family sampler, but this comes from, it's an oldie. It comes from Pat Rogers. I think there's another name for this collection, maybe not, but it's not new. It came from a store that was going out of sale or out of business online probably 3 years ago when I first got started. And it's really cool because it has the way to personalize it at the bottom. You can see the little people. So if you have, 3 children or 2 children, 2 girls, 2 boys, it doesn't matter. You can add however many you would like. And I thought the colors were pretty. I still like that motif at the top. You might want to modernize it just a little bit, but I don't know, with a hand-dyed linen, I think that would be really pretty. It's pretty large. I want to say it's 18.5 by 10.5, but I don't know what kind of, oh, and it's one of these big fold-out charts. You can see it's huge, which some people may not like. 147 by 251. So not terrible. I think this must have been done on like a 14 count Aida. But this one is number 1, and it's called the Family Sampler. So put 1 if you would like to have that chart. Number 2 is a chart that I attempted to give away a long time ago and never got anybody responding. This is a Scarlet Letter sampler. And Scarlet Letter has beautiful charts. At the time, you could only get this through the website, and I didn't want to pay shipping for just one chart. So I added this one in as a giveaway. It's called Elizabeth Page. I've never seen anybody stitch it before, but it has some really cool elements. A red house, an Adam and Eve, a boat. You could even do like a portion of it if you didn't want to do that over one section. But it's a pretty big sampler. I can't remember what size it is, or I don't think it says. 18.5 by 22.5. So probably pretty similar to that family sampler. But it's got quite a bit of border and stitching, and it has some specialty stitches. Just a really nice chart from Scarlet Letter. So if you're interested in Elizabeth Page 1804, just put number 2 in your comment, and the numerical 2, not TWO. And then 3 is a share for the Spotted Pig Pinkeep. I won't be stitching this again, so if you are interested in stitching this, it can be a lot easier. Probably if you don't do 40 count murky, I wouldn't recommend that. And there's quite a few dyers that have some new murky offerings available, even though Picture This Plus is hard to get right now. I know there's several different renditions of this kind of spooky fabric if you like that. So if you like Spotted Pig Pinkeep, say 3, and I will pass that along to you. The 4th item is a service provided by me. I did this in my 3,000 subscriber giveaway, I believe, and it was a really fun experience to have one of you who's willing to ship me your unfinished cross stitch small. I'm not going to be able to do like a giant flat fold or something, but if it's around the size of your hand, maybe a little bit bigger, and you'd like it to be either a pen pillow, or if you just want to leave it up to me to do whatever, if you trust me, then I would love to finish something for you. So put number 4 if you are interested in having me finish a piece for you. I finished a pen pillow for a lady in California last time, and that came and went without any trouble. But if that makes you nervous, then don't put 4. If you're not really comfortable in shipping your project to Texas, then just keep that in mind and I will ship it back to you. And it also won't be a super quick finish. I'll do the best I can, but sometimes it takes me a little longer if I'm doing someone else's, because I want to make sure I do a good job. So number 4 is finishing work by me. Number 5, and the last one that's US only, is a little bunny that I'm going to stitch with a friend. I talked about doing a sew along. I haven't announced that yet, but definitely my friend Tina wanted to stitch this with me. This is called Bunny Bow Filler from Etsy. It's a very small bunny. It's probably about actual size. And I have the fabric. It's called Osnaburg fabric. I had to hunt it down. Hobby Lobby had it for sale, and it's going to be tea and coffee dyed. So it's just a prim little bunny with some actual wool that I have. So I wanted, like I said, to have that done. It's drawn, it's not sewn, but it will be soon. So if you would like a little bunny for your dough bowl, or just to set out with your Easter decorations or spring decorations, put number 5, and I will have those ready for you by the next video to show you. And then the last 2, I don't have a physical copy. And I haven't even chosen for sure. I'm pretty sure which one, but number 6 and number 7 are going to be charts from Etsy that I can ask the seller to email to you anywhere in the world. That's a good way to do an international giveaway with a PDF product versus trying to ship something that may or may not get to you. So I will choose 2 different Ukrainian charts. I know Stitchy Princess has a really pretty rabbit one that I'll pick, and then one more, and I will insert those here. But if you are interested, and you can be anywhere for these 2, number 6 is the Stitchy Princess Rabbit, and number 7 is the one I haven't picked yet, but it will already have been shown to you. So 6 and 7 are the Ukrainian charts, and like I said, I will have them email them to you. So you'll need to provide your email to me, and I'll pass that on to the seller. And I thank you again for all of your support over the last 3 years, for your continued encouragement and kindness, and the way that you've made my life so much richer by participating in my Flosstube community. Dahlia wants to participate as well. The mailman's coming by, or maybe the trash. I'll be right back. You must be over 18 to legally provide your address, and please don't say giveaway. Thanks. Okay, really quickly, before I forget, I wanted to share a couple of pieces of haul just because I always like to see floss that are not readily available. I got the chance to see the Threadworks at the French Knot, like I said, and I wanted to show you. This is, I think it's called Lava Rocks. I'll put that here if I'm wrong. This is a really nice black gray by Threadworks. Here's the number on it. I like to refer them by their name. They're like DMC. They have the number listed, but they do have a name. So I'll put that here. But that would be a really pretty sub, I think, for carriage black. If you can't find a gentle art thread, this would be a really nice one. If you have anything that's variegated that's black, it'd make a good roof or a good spotted pig. The other one, this one, I'm pretty sure is called Wet Clay. I wanted this for a hen that I have from Stacy Nash called Henrietta. I thought that would be a really pretty color for a chicken, for a hen. So that one is 0128, and that's pretty true to color. It's called Wet Clay. You can get that in 20-yard increments most of the time on 1, 2, 3 stitch. So if you're looking for those, and I already showed you the Threadworks from, was it right here? It is. From my other Easter piece. This one is called, oh dear, I've already lost it, camel hair. That's what it's called. And I don't think that's really a good camel hair color. I've actually ridden a camel before, so I can't quite bring to mind what their hair looks like, but I think that's a little bit different. The other thing that I wanted to say thank you for getting and show you some more floss from Frankie. Oh, I'm dropping things today. This came yesterday. Thank you so much, Frankie. She keeps me in stock here. These are some colors I've seen before and some new ones. This Mrs. Brown is awesome. That's a really nice kind of chestnutty brown, a little bit warmer. That would be really nice for fall. Speaking of fall, she has done another Falling Leaves. And I think this one might be a little bit brighter, Frankie, than the last one I had. Isn't that neat? That would be so perfect for leaves. So Falling Leaves, she had dyed some more. Here's Woolly Swamp. Are these supposed to be song names, Frankie? I'm not thinking of a song for that one. That's a great color. Really pretty variegation. And I've had this one before. This is Scarborough Fair. That's a really pretty spring, kind of more bright green, but lots of beautiful variegation. It looks so nice for spring stitching. So I will link Frankie's shop below, A Wicked Stepmother. And I got a couple of letters. One thing I wanted to ask you, I don't want to show my address. This came from my pen pal, Valerie. She asked me if I would want to be her pen pal, and I said, sure. So I have, from the early years of my life, had a pen pal. It's been a long time. I used to write my cousin in Alabama. We exchanged letters all the time, and we never met more than, I think, 2 or 3 times in our life, but we wrote letters our entire childhood, so I feel so much closer to her. So Valerie, thank you for asking to be my pen pal. And I am asking y'all, if you are interested, anybody that wants to write me a letter, I will put the address to my church below. My husband's the pastor there, so I can get that easily. I'll put that below if you'd like to send me a letter. I'm not promising that I can get it back quickly, but I'd love to have a few more pen pals, especially if you're international. My other pen pal I had was from France, and that was always so exciting to get a letter as a child. So, and even as a grown-up, I would be excited to get a letter from France or Wales or South Africa, any other country. Like I said, if you want to be my pen pal, I will list that address below. Even if you just want to do it one time, that's fine, just to exchange a letter. I would love to do that. I love to write with pretty papers and send little silk sari pieces. So send me a letter and I will send one back. The other piece of haul I had, I finally found one of these pretty milk glass. It's not anything precious. It doesn't have a nice label or anything particularly special about it, but I found that at an antique store, and it's going to be for my scissors, and I might put like a little pincushion that fits in there. That's a future project. And the last thing, I also got a beautiful card from my friend Daylene with some feathers. I'll put the picture here that she has for remembrance of people that have passed. It was a sympathy card for my in-laws. So thank you, Daylene, always for thinking of me. So sweet. And I had a couple books to share, and that's it. I told y'all I had a lot stored up to talk about, so I apologize if this video is longer. Thank you for sticking with me if you're still here. I wanted to share a collection. I had just recently gotten a new book from Susan Branch. My friend Celeste also collects these. And Celeste, I still have that book to send to you. I ended up with 2 of these because my mom and I were both collecting them, and I bought one for her and I already have one. But Susan Branch does this series of, they're kind of cookbooks / memoirs, just different notes about her life, and her drawing is so fun. I just like looking through these. You may have seen them before. They're old. They're from the 80s and 90s. At least some of them are. I'm not sure these, but they don't have one for every season. I did find the summer one, the first one I found at my Goodwill, for like $1.91. And then I bought this one for my mom. That's the one I was going to share with Celeste. And then I also bought this one for my mom and reclaimed it when I was at her house last time, the autumn book. I love all things autumn, you know, soups and stews and just beautiful leaves and drawings, Thanksgiving plans. She's a great cook, and there's some really good recipes in here. I use them especially for like girlfriend times, like when I'm taking something to a Bible study that my husband won't necessarily appreciate, you know, brie and jalapenos or something, but my girlfriends will. So that's a good one for autumn. And then this one is the new one I just got myself for Valentine's Day, and it's all about her friends, and I just enjoyed reading it. It reminded me of Flosstube, some of the friends I've made. That's kind of a weird one. That's a paper doll. She's not wearing any pants, but just lots of different stories about her girlfriends. She had, oh, here's a lot of pictures of them. She had some tale of meeting the Beatles, which was really crazy. But, you know, you get up to a lot of different shenanigans with friends sometime, and she recounts a lot of those stories. So these Susan Branch books, you can find them on Amazon, Thrift Book, Abe Books. I found mine at the Goodwill. You might just keep an eye out for them, or you may already have them and just pull them out and enjoy them. I really enjoy that collection. There's a Christmas one I want to get, and then I think I'll be done with collecting those. So those are a book recommendation I have. And then the last book I'm reading, this may not be for everybody. This is what I call literature with like a capital L. My husband has a degree in literature, and he hates this style of writing. It's very kind of drawn out and flowery, but I am enjoying this Far from the Madding Crowd by Thomas Hardy. I've never read a Thomas Hardy book before. I found it from another booktuber, and she loves the classics, you know, the Jane Austen, and there's another one, George Eliot, who's actually a female, and she just went on and on about this book. And I'm listening to it on audio as I stitch, and it's just such beautiful language. Some of the parts, the dialects are a little weird with the audio, but I kind of fast forward a little bit through those because there's some guys that meet in this bar. I don't particularly enjoy those sections, these shepherds, but when they talk about the English countryside, you can kind of tell from this cover. I found this book on eBay. I decided I wanted a hard copy as I was listening because it was going slower. I thought I can probably read it faster. But it's a beautiful story, and it's this lady called Bathsheba, which is a funny name, who has 3 admirers, which Bathsheba probably had more as well. And the farmer in this is the one I like the best. I think he's going to be the one that comes out on top. I haven't finished yet. Like I said, I'm only about halfway, but it's something if you already have to pull out. Excuse me, Flosstube sneeze. But that's my book recommendation section for this video. And then I had 2 more recommendations that I've enjoyed lately on Flosstube. 2 newer Flosstubers, especially Haley. Peregrine Stitcher is a stitcher from upstate New York. I have an aunt there. I'd love to go visit sometime. But she is a beautiful stitcher. She does mirabilias and lots of samplers, and she seems to be really quick. I know I've gone back and watched all of her videos, and she'll be like, here's the sampler I started. The next video she'll be like, here it is, it's done. I'm just like, wow, Haley, you are quite a stitcher. But I enjoy her personality. She has a very calm presence. She lives in a very old home, which is a beautiful backdrop. So I think you might enjoy her if you enjoy my channel. Like I said, Peregrine Stitcher, I'll link below. And also Quaint Rose Needle Arts. She is a younger stitcher, and all of a sudden her name is escaping me. I'll put it here. Sorry about that. But she has designed a beautiful bird in a clock that my friend Kim Goldman and several other people have stitched. And if you go back and see her whip parade and some of her earlier videos, she is a whiz. She just gets a lot done. Huge GGR samplers. She did a Haid that I've admired for a while. I don't intend to do a Haid at any point, but she's quite a bit younger and has 3 little kids. I think it's 3. Just a really sweet spirit. So I think you will enjoy her very much as well. Quaint Rose Needle Arts. And with that said, I'm all done with my stitching and book talk. I had a quick testimony about a life update. So if you're not interested in that, thank you for joining me to see what I've been up to with my stitching. And if you're interested to hear kind of a testimony about what God's been doing in my life, then you are welcome to stay and hear that. Let me get that together. Okay, as I said, I don't really have anything to get together. I'm not sure why I segued that way, but what I wanted to share about my loss, as many of you know, I had lost my mother-in-law. I think it was the day after I posted my last video about joining the Flosstube community to grow a channel. We were somewhat expecting her passing. She had definitely expecting. She had been in a decline for about 6 years since her stroke. And at the end, the last several months, even since Christmas, she's been almost catatonic with, she had been almost catatonic with no ability to speak or even move. And she was suffering. So we were praying that God would take her home. She passed away that Saturday. Amidst all of that, my father-in-law, as the caretaker, had been sort of keeping secret how poor his health had gotten. He was just concerned about her. They'd been married for 57 years, would have been 58 this November, and they were just so close as far as, you know, always together, did everything together, used to square dance in a traveling square group, used to bowl together, just so close, and married at like 18 and 21, I think their difference was. But anyway, when he saw that she was at rest and finally gone, he also passed away 4 days later. So it's kind of a love story, kind of a sad thing. We'd really hoped to have him longer. He was 78, she was 75, but his lungs had been damaged very severely by a bout with COVID back in January. And if you've ever experienced air hunger, that's what got my mom as well. You would never wish that on anyone. It's just a horrible way to go. And so it was merciful that his suffering was over as well, but it was just such a blow to my husband to lose them. Hang on just a second. Okay, I've been doing pretty good here, but it's starting to get to me when I think about what my husband Jim is going through. Just to have lost both of his parents within 4 days, it really felt like the rug was just ripped out from under him, and his what you think of as your foundation, almost like your parents are going to be there for you. And I know, you know, one of the things I've learned through this, I think Amy, my friend, posted on her Instagram, grief has taught you not to feel enabled to a long life, you know, or entitled to a long life. None of us are entitled to even tomorrow. But you do get a little bit complacent. You start to just assume that everybody's going to keep going and be fine. And that's not what life is like. So it's been a lesson of, you know, never taking a moment for granted, never forgetting to tell one another that you love one another, all of those things. And when this happened, you know, I almost had this feeling like in the Bible where you hear about people wanting to put just, what do they call it? Where they put ashes on their head and they tear their clothes. I almost felt like that, like, God, this is too much. I just lost my mom in August, and now to lose both my in-laws in one sweep. But I started to examine some of those feelings. It's almost embarrassing to me how much hard times we've been through. I almost feel a little bit like Job, like I just can't take any more, God. But when I really examine my heart about that, it's a pride for me to think, I'm okay, everything's good, we're okay. And you know, sometimes you're not. You're just not okay. Things can come out of nowhere that really knock you off balance. And rather than not talking about it or being embarrassed by all the hard times, I think there is value in sharing that. That's why I do post that on Instagram or on my community feed. First of all, to let you know why I'm not here and what's going on. But secondly, just to let you know, and some of you have voiced this to me, that you're not alone. You know, we all go through struggles and hard times. And it's a little bit embarrassing sometimes to say, you know, I'm not doing so well. But like I said, it's a pride thing for me to remember to stay humble and not take for granted your family or the time that you have here on this earth, to cherish it and to spend it in a good way. So that's what God's been showing me. He has been very close. I keep getting that comment, God is near to the brokenhearted, and that is so true. So, okay. All that to say, sorry, I lost my voice again. I wanted to let you know that you're not alone. If you're suffering and going through hard times, and if you're not now, they're probably around the corner. But God is near to the brokenhearted, and He will walk with you through that, carry you a lot of times, as the old poem goes. And thank you for all of your sweet encouragement and kindness, people that have reached out to me by letters and personal messages on Instagram and here in the comments as well. I appreciate your prayers, and we're going to be okay. We're just in kind of a sad time in our family. So that's kind of what's been going on. God's been good. I can trust Him no matter what, and so can you. As I say at the end of all of my videos in the book of Psalm, chapter 90, verse 17, it says, may the favor of the Lord our God be upon us and establish the work of our hands. Thanks for watching, and I hope to see you soon.